During the Tang Dynasty, Emperor Taizong was reluctant to cross the sea. He planned a recent campaign against Goguryeo, but the sorrow of a long sea voyage filled him with uneasy. General Saringhi understood his emperor's fear and devised a clever plan. He transformed a larger ship into what appeared to be a magnificent palace, and invited the emperor to a lavish banquet. Music filled the air, wine flowed freely, completely absorbed in the celebration. The emperor never realized that the ship had quietly set sail. Only later, when he looked outside, did he discover that he was already surrounded by the open sea. Without realizing it, he had crossed the water. This story reminds us that people often fear not danger itself, but the expectation of danger. In the 36 Stratagems, this tactic is called瞞天過海. Deceive the Heavens, cross the sea. It is far more than an ancient anecdote. It reveals a timeless principle of psychology. The most effective deception is often hidden within what seems completely ordinary. Welcome to Haein Philosophy. I'm Yu Sun-bok. Let's explore the wisdom of Asia together. Today, we will set aside the art of war for a moment and turn to another Chinese military classic, the 36 Stratagems. While the art of war presents the principles and philosophy of war, the 36 Stratagems is a collection of practical strategies drawn from historical experience. Although the book took its present form during the Ming and Qing dynasties, the stratagems themselves were inspired by military and political events that dating back many centuries. The text organizes 36 classic stratagems into 6 groups, with 6 stratagems in each. Rather than focusing on military theory, it emphasizes practical application, showing how strategy changes according to circumstances. Its lessons extend far beyond the battlefield, remaining relevant today in politics, business, leadership, and everyday human relationships. The 6 groups of 36 classic stratagems. Winning stratagems, used when victory is already within reach. Opposing stratagems, for situations in which both sides are evenly matched. Attack stratagems, employed when taking the initiative and pressing the offensive. Chaos stratagems, psychological tactics that exploit confusion and disorder. Intergroup stratagems, strategies for dealing with multiple rivals, alliances, and competing interests. Defeat stratagems, method of survival when defeat seems inevitable, including the famous principle, if all else fails, retreat. The 36 Stratagems is far more than a collection of clever tricks. It is a timeless guide to adapting strategy to changing circumstances. A source of wisdom that continues to influence leaders, negotiators, and decision-makers to this day. The first group, Winning Stratagems, begins with Deceive the Heavens to cross the sea, and continues through famous tactics such as make a sound in the east, then strike in the west. Each stratagem is illustrated through a story drawn from history. For Korean viewers, however, the first story carries a bittersweet irony. It is based on the Tang Dynasty's campaign against Goguryeo, one of the ancient kingdoms of Korea. The generals behind the brand, Seolwingi, rose from humble beginnings to become one of the Tang Dynasty's most celebrated commanders. For us, this campaign remains a painful chapter of history. Yet, history also tells us that the invasion ultimately failed. Despite its early successes, Emperor Taesong was unable to capture Ansi fortress, and the Tang army was forced to withdraw. So, today our focus is not on the invasion itself, but on the strategic principle hidden within this episode. The 36 stratagems are more than stories of conquest. They reveal enduring insights into human psychology, perception, and decision-making. Let us begin with the very first stratagem. 만천과해. Deceive the heavens to close the sea. The phrase can be understood one character at a time. 만 means to deceive. 천 literally means heaven. It symbolically refers to the highest authority, Emperor Taejong. 과 means to close. 해 means the sea. Take literally, the phrase means deceive heaven in order to close the sea. In the story, the heaven being deceived is Emperor Taejong himself. Yet, the deeper meaning goes far beyond this single episode. When something becomes familiar, people stop questioning it. By disguising the extraordinary as something ordinary, Seolwingi allowed the emperor to close the sea without even realizing it. This is not merely a story about deception. It is a lesson in how familiarity lowers suspicion, the very psychological principle behind the first of the 36 stratagems. Let us look at the first line. 비주즉 의태. To prepare thoroughly, to leave nothing overlooked. 비주 means to prepare thoroughly. 즉 means then or as a result. 의태 means one's vigilance relaxes. One begins to let down one's guard. The sentence means when preparations are complete, people lower their guard. This is exactly what Seolwingi accomplishes. Knowing that Emperor Taesong feared crossing the sea, he removed every sign that might arouse suspicions. The ship was disguised as a magnificent palace. Large screens concealed the sea. The interior was arranged to make the boys feel calm and familiar. Nothing suggested that the emperor was already at sea, as everything appeared safe and ordinary. His vigilance gradually faded. The deception did not rely on forcing the emperor to believe a lie. Instead, it removed the very reasons for him to become suspicious. This is the first lesson of the 36 stratagems. Perfect preparation makes suspicion disappear. When everything appears natural, people stop questioning what is right before their eyes. The next line reads, 상견즉 불의. What is seen repeatedly arouses no suspicion. 상 means constant or habitual. 견 means to see. 즉 means then or as a result. 불의 means there is no suspicion. The sentence means what is seen every day allows no suspicion. This reflects a simple truth about human psychology. When something is new, we examine it carefully. But when we encounter it again and again, it becomes familiar, and familiarity makes us stop questioning. 서린기 understood this well. Instead of forcing Emperor Taezong to overcome his fear, he surrounded him with screens that felt completely ordinary. A magnificent banquet, music, a palace-like setting. Everything resembled the emperor's daily life at court, while his attention rested on what felt familiar. The ship quietly crossed the sea. This was not merely a clever trick. It was a lesson in psychology. People rarely suspect what they have come to accept as normal. The true deception was not the sea itself. It was the familiar surroundings that concealed it. That is why the fourth stratagem teaches us that familiarity is often the most powerful disguise. The next phrase reads, 음제 양지내 부제 양지대. Exists within yang, not in opposition to it. To understand this, we must first understand what and yang represent. Refers to what is hidden, quiet, or concealed. Yang refers to what is visible, active, and apparent. Many people think and yang are absolute opposites, but that is not what this passage teaches. Light always casts a shadow. Where there is brightness, there is already darkness. The two are not separate. They exist together. Is often hidden within yang. Applying this principle to the stratagem, the hidden plan does not stand in opposition to what is visible. Instead, it is concealed within what appears perfectly ordinary. Thorough preparation makes people relax. Familiarity removes suspicion. The emperor was not deceived because he saw something unusual. He was deceived because everything looked completely normal. That is the true meaning. Exists within yang, not in opposition to it. The greatest deception is not hidden where people expect to find it. It is hidden within what they trust the most. The text then concludes with an intriguing reference to the sun and the moon. At first glance, the passage seems mysterious. The two are successive rather than opposing. The sun gives way to the moon, and the moon to the sun. They are not absolute opposites, but complementary states, each containing the seed of the other. This, I believe, is exactly what the author is illustrating. Just as exists within yang, the hidden stratagem exists within what is visible. The greatest deception is not hidden where people expect to find it. It is hidden within what they trust the most. Now, let us connect this principle to strategy. An enemy usually expects a frontal attack. That is why the true stratagem is rarely hidden where the enemy is looking. Instead, it is concealed within what feels familiar, ordinary, and trustworthy. Deception is not about confronting expectation. It is about hiding within it. That is precisely what Saringi did. He did not avoid the sea, nor did he attempt to conceal it elsewhere. Instead, he concealed the sea on the sea itself, behind the grand banquet, music, and a palace-like setting that Emperor Taizong accepted without question. This is the heart of deceiving the heavens to cross the sea. The hidden is placed inside the obvious. The extraordinary is disguised as the ordinary. The final phrase reads, 태양, 태음. 태양, great yang, 태음, great But why would the author deliberately add what seems like an unnecessary remark? This is the key to the entire passage. If you've understood everything so far, then try deciphering this final line. What is the answer? Insert just one word between 태양, great yang, and 태음, great Suddenly, everything falls into place. Greater yang is greater By omitting that single word, the author deliberately leaves the reader wondering. In Haein Philosophy, 태양 represents yang at its fullest expression, the height of brightness. 태음 represents at its deepest, the fullest of shadow. According to the I Ching Book of Changes, 주역, when yang reaches its extreme, it begins to transform into When reaches its extreme, it begins to transform into yang. Day becomes night, night becomes day. What appears to be an opposite is actually the next stage of the same process. That, I believe, is the point. The author is making the brightest light already contains the beginning of shadow. Likewise, the safest place already contains the hidden stratagem. The enemy is deceived, not by what is obviously concealed, but by what appears completely ordinary. In the end, restore the missing word is the equivalent of the Chinese character, 就. Read it as greater yang, 就, greater By omitting that single word, the author uses the sentence itself to demonstrate the very deception of deceiving the heavens to cross the sea. Quite ingenious, isn't it? To make this principle easier to understand, let me share an interesting story. A man boarded a subway train, carrying a suitcase filled with cash. He looked utterly exhausted. As soon as he found a seat, he placed the suitcase wide open on the overhead rack, leaned back and fell fast asleep. He slept peacefully until the train reached its stop. Then he stood up, picked up the suitcase, and walked away. Why would anyone do such a thing? Most people would keep the suitcase close at hand and watch it constantly. He did the exact opposite. Ironically, the more relaxed he appeared, the more alert everyone else became. The passengers watched the suitcase for him without realizing it. They became his guardians. Whether or not the story actually happened, it illustrates an important principle. Exists within yang, not in opposition to it. True concealment is not found where people expect it. It is hidden within what appears completely ordinary. This goes beyond avoiding the enemy's strongest defenses. The real stratagem is to place yourself exactly where the enemy would never think to look. The safest hiding place is often the place that attracts no suspicion at all. That is the essence of瞞天過海. A modern example of this principle can be found in the Incheon landing operation of 1950. At the time, North Korean forces considered Incheon an unlikely landing site. Its extreme tides, narrow channels, and difficult coastline made a large amphibious assault seem almost impossible. Convinced that no one would attack there, they lowered their guard. The Allied forces, however, prepared with extraordinary care, rather than attacking where the enemy expected. They struck where the enemy felt safest. The stratagem was hidden inside the enemy's assumptions. It was deceive the heavens to cross the sea, put into practice. Now, let us read the original text once again. 비주즉 의태. When preparation is complete, this runs Lexis. 상견즉 불의. What is seen repeatedly arouses no suspicion. 음제 양지내. Exists within yang. 부제 양지대. It does not stand in opposition to yang. 태양 태음. Greater yang is greater The brightest place is the darkest place. In our next episode, we will explore the second stratagem, 위위구조, which is we to rescue Joe. Thank you for watching. This has been Haein Philosophy.